How's it going, guys? This is Twister and today I'm back with another GTA Online video, and in this one I'm going to be telling you guys what I think are the best cars in each class to use for stunt races in GTA Online. Not only telling you guys which ones I think are the fastest in each class for the stunt races, but also giving you guys some preference options and perhaps some vehicles that may be more useful in certain situations than other ones. There's no specific or scientific car testing actually going on in this video. It's mostly going to be based off of my opinions and my experiences doing like hundreds of these stunt races over the past month or so since the stunt races and the Cunning Stunts DLC has been released. So I'll get straight into this video. The first class is obviously the supercars class, and I think there's only one choice here, and it's the RE7B, pretty much because of the situation with the carbon wing and the stock wheels, giving it a massive top speed, faster than any of the other supercars with its insane top speed. And that's pretty much the defining factor of this car. It's so much faster than all the other cars with its top speed, and even then it still has enough traction to be able to corner effectively. It's pretty good doing all the tubes and wall rides and loops and stuff like that, because it's also got that downforce factor as well, which is also because of that spoiler option, and just mainly for the fact of that top speed. You can't realistically compete in many of the other supercars. It does also come down to the race itself, but a lot of the stunt races are dependent on top speed, especially the supercar ones. I may mostly be going off of the Rockstar stunt races in this video, because that is kind of the standard of what most people play, I guess. But yeah, those Rockstar races in particular are so dependent on top speed, and the RE7B just dominates everything in the supercars class with its top speed. So that is why I think the RE7B is pretty much the best supercar to use in supercar races. But if you guys remember, a little while back I did do a test of the RE7B versus the T20. In tubes, the T20 is actually a little bit faster, but again, that's really a specific advantage. I think the RE7B does have a more general advantage over every supercar, but like I said, in some situations different cars are better, but I think overall it's definitely the RE7B in the supercars class. Next up, in the sports cars class, this one you've got a huge variety of stuff you can use. I think the sports cars class has the biggest variety of different cars you can use for different situations, but the top three I think are probably the Elegy, the Masacro/Masacro race car, and also the Jester race car. The Elegy just has so much traction on the stunt tracks, on the really flat roads. It has so much traction and cornering speed. It just makes it that little bit faster than the other sports cars, and it can really come down to that traction sometimes. The Masacro is another really strong choice because the Masacro has got a really high top speed. It's good in the tubes. It also handles well. It's got a really nice feeling suspension, so it can handle well over the different types of tracks, tubes and jumps. So that's why I really like Masacro as well. And also you've got the Jester race car. This one's a little bit of an all-rounder. It's really easy to drive, good acceleration, really good handling, and I think those three are possibly the three best picks for sports car races. And then you've also got other choices as well, like the 770 is pretty good. I personally like to use that. The Felter as well. But I'm going to also give another mention to the Omnis. So any stunt race with off-road sections, the Omnis is what you want, especially in the current premium race, which is Stunt Race Rally as I'm recording this. The Omnis on that race is so good, better than any of the other normal sport cars in my opinion, just because of the off-road sections in that race. So yeah, anything with off-road sections, definitely the Omnis, but overall I think the Elegy, the Masacro and the Jester race car are the top three options for the sports cars class. Next up, for the bike races, I personally think the Bati is the best choice, but you've also got the Akuma as well, which isn't too bad, and the Hakuchu as well. The Hakuchu can wheelie really well, so to give it that extra top speed. The Akuma's got some really good acceleration, but it doesn't wheelie as well, and it doesn't corner as well in my opinion. So I think the Bati is sort of the best balance in between the Akuma and the Hakuchu. The Bati handles well. It's my personal choice. I think it's the best bike. It's the one that I use definitely most often for these bike stunt races. But I guess with any of the bikes really, it's just a matter of getting effective with the wheelies and also gliding to get extra distance on the jumps. That's what it really comes down to in the bike races. So you should be okay with any of those three options that I mentioned, but personally I just like using the Bati most in the bike races. Next up, from the muscle cars, and I personally think that the Piswasa Dominator, or the Dominator race car, is the best to use in the stunt races. It's got a massive top speed. It's pretty hard to handle, but if you can handle it well around the corners, it's really rewarding. But yeah, the Dominator's got a crazy top speed in the muscle cars class, slightly better than the regular Dominator as well. And you might be thinking, what about the Sabre Turbo Custom now? because it's got the lowrider properties, it doesn't really do as well on the stunt races for stuff like jumps and the corkscrew loops. It doesn't carry the same speed as the Dominator does because it's really low. It kind of drags along the floor. And also my experience with the Sabre Turbo Custom, although it is a lot more stable to drive, especially on the jumps, when you land it can just spin out randomly as soon as you land. So that's why, in my opinion, I prefer the Pisswasser Dominator for the muscle car races. And then next onto the compact class, the one that you're really going to want to use is the new compact car, the Brioso. It feels so much faster than any of the other compacts, but it's really weird to handle. If you can kind of get used to it, again, it'll really reward you because it is so fast. It accelerates really well, shoot out of corners crazily. So if you can get used to that weird handling, then you'll definitely do good in the Brioso. It is all-wheel drive, I think, which is sort of weird for a compact. That may be why it feels really weird to drive sometimes, especially around the corners. It has the grip, but sometimes it can just suddenly oversteer and then you'll start spinning out, so you've really got to try and get used to that. But if you can, it definitely feels the fastest compact as well for the stunt races, so that's why you're going to want to get used to the Brioso. And then finally for off-road races, again, unfortunately there's only one choice for this, and it's the BF 400. This is a bike. It's actually in the motorcycles class, but since you can use it for off-road races, it's so much faster than any of the other off-road vehicles, which in my opinion is a real shame. I would honestly really like to see the new off-road trucks, the Trophy Truck and the Desert Raid. I'd love to see those dominating the off-road class because they're so much fun to drive. But unfortunately, because the BF 400, it's a bike, not only can you wheelie with it to get so much more speed, it corners effectively, and then you can also glide on the jumps to get so much more distance. It's a real shame that the BF 400 can be used in off-road races even though it's a bike, but because it is a bike, it's so much quicker than the other off-road vehicles, so that's why you're going to want to use the BF 400. And there we go, those are all of my recommendations for the best cars to use in each class for the stunt races. Now you may have noticed that I haven't mentioned any sedans or any coupes or any vans. That's because I haven't done any stunt races in any of those vehicle classes. Well, actually I may have done one race in the vans, I can't quite remember, but stunt races in those vehicle classes, for me they just never come up, so I'm guessing that you guys may have never done stunt races in those vehicles either. There are no Rockstar tracks for those specific classes of vehicles, so if you do find any custom ones with sedans or coupes, it's basically just use whatever you feel like using for those ones. If you have a custom coupe or a custom sedan, basically just use that. Of course, if you do really want to know what the fastest cars in those classes are, then you can have a look at Bruffy's testing videos. But like I said, for stunt races, those classes just haven't come up for me at all, so it's just preference for those classes, I guess. So yeah, that is it for this video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. What vehicles do you like to use in each class for these stunt races? If you have enjoyed the video, make sure you leave it a like rating, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I will hopefully see you all in my next video. See you later, guys.